So first of all, if anybody feels sick-ish, what should you do? Don't come to class. Watch the live stream. Are you found out if you're going to go or not in your trip? You're going to go? Cool. Challenge accepted. Okay, that's cool. So I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Where is this on here? That's physio. Fifth? Is it the fourth? Is this you guys? Okay. I'm going to share this with you, then it's this one. Okay. Good memory, thank you. Okay. So, what's funny about this stuff right here, I would say funny, but the interesting thing about this Oh, Mom. My parents are in Orlando right now, just in case you care. How do you know that you're getting texted from an old person? No, it's a whole sentences. Hi, Steve. We're visiting Orlando with Larry's family, ... Oh, Faith, Larry, Alice, John, Becky, Dan, and Judy. Please, it's pleasantly cool. Took an hour walk this morning. Love you all. Love Mom and Larry. Thanks, Mom. Okay. So, yeah. Well, I use ... That ... was meaning there's 7 pages of text about to follow. Okay. But why do young people use much shorter texts? Most of you all... Hey, there's a light out there now. You're going to go so sleepy. Yeah, you got the darkness just beaming on you right there. It's just an hour early. Okay. So, but it's interesting is that old people are much more distracted by their phones than young people. Because young people don't write full sentences. They write things that you can glance at and get the image, get the idea. It's funny because Twitter started this kind of thing where it's like you can't type a book, you only get X number of characters. And then morons like people my age used all the characters that they could. And they kept editing it to make it so that it's good. So, but what's interesting, a lot of young people only send very short texts. The reason is because all they have to do is glance at their phone and it actually doesn't disrupt their natural behavior. We did a series of experiments with my daughter's high school class compared to my college students compared to old people, over 30. And it turns out that people over 30, when they're texting, try to use complete sentences in full meaning. But young people like the letter K. Or I use the letter C all the time. Hey, can you get me tampons at the store? C. Yes. Okay? And it's funny because when you're trying to respond, you don't want to spend a lot of time. And we're doing the experiment with the distracted driving right now, and it seems it's the length of time that to fill another class, but it's called competing motor programs. Competing motor programs, which is choice. Choice. How do you decide what behavior to choose? Don't say better. The stimuli that's more reinforcing. Yeah.
You had mentioned something like when we were going over the commercials, we normally choose whatever we think about more.
Okay, so I'm going to change the way think about more, resonate more. Okay, so this is really important. We're talking about consciousness. Why would you, like when we went through Trader Joe's shopping on Friday because my wife is paranoid that the stores are going to be empty. So, Chihuahua. Okay. Well, anyway, anybody try to go shoe shopping right now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot of the shoes a lot of our sporty shoes that we buy, where do they come from? China. Yeah, electronics too. My daughter is due for a new phone soon, and she starts to look. She goes, "They're out of new phones." It's like, it's okay. The world will survive, but you'll be okay. I'm due for an upgrade. I'm going to wait because what's going to happen when China comes back online, aside from the world gets warmer again? Sorry. Everything's going to get cheap because they need to start moving a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, woohoo! Oh, wait. Yeah. Too soon, sir. Too soon. Okay. But at the same time, it's people start to panic because things start to resonate with them. In other words, things are brought into their consciousness. And when something gets brought into your consciousness, when you see it again, does it change the behavioral probability? Yes, and that's, so that in my cognitive class right before this, we were talking about the same thing, is that how do you know to pay attention to something? If it resonates. And literally, the neuroscientists measure your brain frequency like we measured his. When his brain is concentrating, it vibrates at a certain frequency. And so I can actually see your brain paying attention to different things and what frequency it's vibrating at. Huh? It's cool. Okay? So we're going to go all the way back down then, and we spent a lot of time talking about sleep last class. Why is sleep so important? Yeah, so the first half of your night's sleep is for your physical health. This is actually the most important. Does anybody feel fuzzy today with just 1 hour of different sleep? I totally do. 1 hour of sleep, can it make an effect in your consciousness? Totally. And yeah, right off the bat. Okay? And it's like just 1 hour of sleep, it makes a difference. And so if you think about this, just 1 hour, what if you do this to yourself periodically for homework or for dating or for whatever other reason? Dating's okay. But think about what this is doing to your health if you do this all week.
Oh my God.
No, but think about it. Just you can feel 1 day of sleep problems. I mean, my workout this morning was terrible because I get up at 4 to work out, which means my body had to wake up at 3 to work out this morning. And so I went to go pick up the things, and they're really heavy. and it took me forever to finally break a sweat because where was my body's circadian rhythm? I was still between REM cycles. I didn't even get my last REM cycle in the morning because your last REM cycle occurs in the last hour of sleep. And so how long does it take to make up that hour? You can. Yeah, no, you don't. Sorry, you're 1 hour life shorter now because you lost that hour of sleep. Yeah, you should experience a REM rebound tonight or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow, you should have like some crazy ass dreams. Well, we should because your brain is trying to get caught up on that REM sleep. And it's important, it's really important that you make sure you have good sleep. Because good sleep is the best way to have a healthy immune system. The side effect is, what is the major cause, the number one cause of sleep loss? Well, sleep deprivation is sleep loss. Not sleeping. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Okay. What's the number one cause of sleep loss? Anxiety, stress. Stress. If you take a medicine that helps you sleep, okay, be very careful with taking Benadryl to sleep. Well, no, the main reason is after about a week, you go to stand up and you're like, whoa! It can have not long-term, but it can have side effects on your balance. It also, then you get stung by a bee and you take a Benadryl, nothing happens. You can develop a tolerance to Benadryl. Then you're all swelled up like a little puffy dog and you need to, like 6 Benadryls to, yeah. Okay, so medicine that helps you sleep, there's a bunch of different kinds. And you got to be very careful. Are they habit forming? Yes, they can be. The second part is like things like Ativan. They knock you out. And they're very good at forcing your body into this non-REM sleep. But what's a problem with them? Yeah, they're not good for the REM cycles. There's a bunch of other ones that are like Ambien, and there's a bunch of other of these over-the-counter sleep aids. They have extra serotonin in them, extra melatonin in them, so that it increases the probability of REM cycles later in the night. But one of my good friends has a really bad case of sleep apnea. He's had this his entire life. When he goes into REM sleep, he just stops breathing. Not because I have obstructive. If I gain too much weight, I snore. And that's because my neck closes my throat. And luckily I have a sleep aid called my wife who punches me if I'm making too much noise and I roll over. So if I sit up and I sleep, like prop myself up, I don't snore. Or if I lay completely flat on my stomach, I don't snore. It's if I get that perfect comfortable position with my head slightly, bam, but it's so comfy. Anyway, I hate sleeping sitting up. Anybody have to do that because of sinuses or allergies? It's just not restful. And you wake up, your neck's stiff, but you slept well, but okay. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and start talking about this idea of what your memories are in consciousness. Okay, so you asked a question about déjà vu. Okay, and déjà vu is a really fascinating thing. Okay, and so say your first name again. Shana. Okay. So I got to start remembering names again because we're talking about memory, and so it's really important to me. So when you have a déjà vu experience, what that is that's where your brain says, I recognize this, right? So your brain produces the same waves when you resonate with something. Like my student Derek this morning in my morning class walks in and he has his weight belt. He has a weightlifting class after this. So he's carrying his weight belt. How come I know what it is? I've never seen his weight belt before, but I've seen something that's similar. I've recognized the category of object that it is. And now that I've seen it once, can I picture it in my head? Well, I can picture it pretty well of the parts that I've seen, but I can reconstruct the entire weight belt in my head because all I have to do is fire the same frequencies, and I can remember the situation. So we're going to talk about how that works today. But the irritating part is can you remember things you've never seen? Yeah. So I want you to think of a book that you've read. Any book, it doesn't matter. If it what's the one that you're reading right now? Yay, okay. My son and I read the books together when he was little, and my daughter and I read the books together when she was little, which was I am a big fan. Okay, and until you actually read them out loud as an adult, and you realize the language level of this is so tiny. Yeah. You can when I read the books when they were coming out, I read the last book. We were in Cabo for our 10-year wedding anniversary, and I read the entire last book in 3 days. There may have been some alcohol involved, but that's not important. Okay, and it's funny because the reading level's so low, can you read the entire page really, really quickly? Do you remember all the details? Kind of, because you actually, the way the author does this, she creates a really nice picture in your head. Why did my son and I finish reading the books? We actually stopped at 5 because, okay, you got bored. But why did we finish reading before we started watching the movies? Well, why are the books better? They have less detail. You customize the book to your consciousness. But has anybody been to the Universal Studios Harry Potter thing? Effing awesome. Universal Studios knows how to do illusions right. You walk out of Ollivander's wand shop, and my wife goes, "Who's Ron?" And we all just walked away from her because she's never read the books. Okay, and that's like a constant joke of picking on my wife. My son goes, "Who's Ron?" She's like, "I get it." Whatever. You walk out of his shop and you turn and look, and there's this giant castle up on a hill. It's not a giant castle on a hill. It's about 20 feet from you, but it looks like it. You know it's not, but you look at it and it's like this giant castle up on a hill. You go inside, it's just a freaking warehouse. But when you're in the three-dimensional, dragonfly roller coaster thing, does it really feel like you're flying around? Yes! And if you've had 2 frozen lemonades an hour before you go on, your stomach knows you're flying around.
A butterbeer, and then you chug a butterbeer and then get on.
Oh, yeah, it's just classic.
Not a good time.
No, not a good time. Okay, so, and I don't like paying money for crap because I'm cheap. That was totally worth it. And actually the tour of the studio to me was even cooler. That was really fascinating to me as a psych person because they make everything look the way it's supposed to look. And then it's kind of depressing when you see all the green screen stuff. Because can they make CGI look more real than reality? Yes. Oh. Oh well. So getting back to your brain. Do you guess on what situations are going to look like? Yes, you predict. So people who have deja vu have what we call good intuition. So like the first time I walked on Cuyamaca College's campus, okay, the first time I ever came on campus, 1997, 96, somewhere in there, 1996, I'm walking up, I parked over by the auto place because I had no idea where to park, and I walked up the little road, and I walk over, the H building wasn't there. It was just, the only part of campus was the library had just been built, and it was the F building up there. That was the only part of campus. It's small. Okay? And I walk onto campus. Oh, OH was there too, and the auto place was there. So those buildings were there. Student center, that wasn't there. That was a hill. And there was like one little classroom called the N building back then. Okay, but what's crazy is then I walked on campus and I go, wow, I've totally been here before. Was it because I was destined to work here? No, but this is pre-internet, by the way. So I never saw pictures. We had the internet, but didn't have a lot of stuff on it. Okay? But how did I know I've seen this before? How many tan stucco buildings are there in San Diego? Yes, the answer. So I expected it to be a bunch of tan stucco buildings. And what was it? Bunch of tan stucco buildings. It's the same color it has been since they built the building up there, by the way. They haven't changed the colors. They changed the color of the doors. That was exciting. They used to be brown. Now they're blue. So we got that going for us. Anyway, but so when you have this deja vu experience, you're remembering a concept, not a literal event. So did we talk about concepts in here yet? No, I did not. Okay. So I was using a different color background last time, sorry. So what is a concept? That's a terrible contrast ratio. You can't see that very well. What's a concept? Oh, come on. Is a concept a single stimulus? Is a concept a single stimulus? Well, so we've been doing this thing in my stats course, and you're going to be a participant in this experiment if you wish on Wednesday. But we have been measuring males and females, not the parts that get me fired, but I want to keep my job. That's a side project. Never mind. Okay, so but what we've been doing is we've been in my intro class a bunch of years ago. 2 students, Ty and Morgan, wanted to do a research project. And so by doing this research project, they wanted to look and see if they could quantify differences between males and females and how males and female bodies are different. Now, we had a biology person say, oh, it's their pelvis is different, and that's hard to measure with all the skin on, and once you kill one or two students, they throw you away, so we can't do that. So one of the what makes men's and women's differences? What makes us different, aside from the genitalia that we're not allowed to measure in class? Hard to measure in class. Height. Males are generally taller than females. Now, there are some tall females. Okay, the volleyball girl that my daughter plays volleyball with, her name is Emily, she has the longest torso in the history of torsos. You have a very long torso. And it's funny because Emily, when she's sitting in the back of our minivan, I see head, 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 Emily's neck, head, head, head. But again, so is it normal? You're very beautiful, so it's not abnormal. But is it normal to have a tall torso? Oh, there you go. But amongst volleyball people, they're taller. Okay, and what's interesting is that if you sample tall volleyball players, I married a volleyball player. My father-in-law is a volleyball coach. We live in a world of volleyball, and I suck at it. My wife and I are entering a tournament, though, because my daughter and her boyfriend are entering a co-ed tournament. My wife and I are entering it. Oh, yeah. My wife's super good, and I dive for everything, so it'll be awesome. I can get the ball up. Where it's going, who knows? Anyway, but it's in the beach, so it's in the sand. I'll be diving every 2 seconds. It's a serve. You don't need to dive. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so now, but if you sample a bunch of tall women compared to a bunch of non-tall men, does that really define men and women? No, so we have to measure not just height. So we measured our arms and our legs, hello, and we measured head circumferences, and we measured length of fingers, and there are differences between men and women, okay, and that there are differences between the concept. But if I try to look at, is there a particular stimulus without getting fired that I can look at to determine males and females? Males and females females are generally shorter, but if I found a 6 foot tall female, she is likely to have the same size shoes that I have. My wife is almost 6 foot, and she wears size 12 women's shoes. Sorry, honey, if I said that online, who cares? Okay, so, but at the same time, is that why does she have bigger feet? She's tall. And if you find a gentleman who's shorter, they will have smaller feet. So foot size is proportional to height, not gender. So the idea is that in order to conceptualize things, we generalize. Here's a stimulus, and anything within these parameters we say are normal or a concept. So when you think about this idea of déjà vu is the ability to feel like you've already been somewhere before. And for some people, it happens all the time. Okay, does it happen to you all the time? Yeah, so that feeling like, So what you're doing is you are resonating with a concept. You're resonating with the concept. So as opposed to resonating with specific details, you're resonating with the idea. So the idea becomes familiar, not the literal detail. Okay, so what's interesting about this is, and that's why I think it's a perfect question for right now, is that do you live in what's called a top-down... that was very anticlimactic. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit so I can make this darker and more dramatic. Do you live in a top-down world, or, let me change this to yellow, a bottom-up world? What do you think? So what would top-down mean? Say louder. You're still saying the same volume. It's just the same. I went to a concert Friday night. All I'm hearing is. By the way, I hate concerts, just so you know. Awfulness. The music was so loud, you couldn't hear anything except loud. Yacht rock.
I would hate that concert too.
Me too! Yay! Oh. Anyway, I got dragged to it with my wife and her friends, and I was standing there. This is stupid. We're all going to die of infectious diseases any minute now. And like everybody that we know was there. So technically it was my people. Ugh. Yes.
Would it be like from details to bigger picture, or a bigger picture to detail?
Okay, so conceptually, if you pay attention to top down, you go to a concert and you enjoy the aspect of a concert. As a bottom-up person, I go and pay attention to all the details of everything going on and found irritation with all the things. I ended up spending most of the time standing behind the light guy watching him, which was actually pretty cool. Changing the colors of the lights and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat. I like that. Watching him do this, and then what that button does this, and that button does that. That's because I'm bottom-up. How come I can't just go, dancing? Ugh. I am not a top-down kind of person. I'm much more of a bottom-up person. This is probably why I have attention deficit issues.
Can you train yourself to switch between?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And this is, but again, this is the way that you tend to think about the world, the way you tend to process. So top-down people are much more likely to experience this deja vu because you are looking at the concept of things. And this is one of my favorite things, the reason why I have a cell phone. Oh, there's concert pictures right there. This is me taking a selfie. There's Chris, one of my wife's friends, who loves it, and here I am going, I hate this. Okay. And this is what it looked like. There's the light guy that I was watching the whole time. I was standing behind the VIP section, not in the VIP section. We ended up moving the barriers all the way forward. There's our effing washing machine that broke. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to mention that. Oh, yeah. I know!
Oh my god, you have
I have some with... I'm so excited. Okay, so, totally forgot to eat any food before class. But anyway... So just because of my attention deficit and my bottom-up processing, so if you eat food made out of insects, it uses significantly less water per gram of protein to eat insects compared to big animals. Yeah, there's a bunch of research on it and a bunch of my annoying healthy people friends. Anyway, so we're going to go back to there's dog. Okay. Okay, so this is one of my favorite albums. Look at this guy. Isn't she awesome? It's a boy. Okay. Okay, that's my Pee Wee Herman bike. Yep. That's my son's bike. That's my friend's bikes. Okay. Oh, there's the heckler. That thing ripped. That was my big jumping off of things bike. Such a good bike. No, it just looks that way. But when you get down a little bit later into my bicycle history, the wheels start getting big and weird. So the Weiner bicycle history is filled with lots of strange things. This is actually one of my favorite configuration bikes, and I actually have one now called the Great Pumpkin, which I am working on, which will be in there soon. There's the Nimble Beast. Yeah. So is this one like the other ones? So, top-down people say it's a frickin' bicycle. This is actually a dirt jumper, if you care. Bottom-up processing say this is a Jamis Chromo. It's a dirt jumping mountain bike, and it's made of mostly BMX parts with a few mountain bike parts added. Okay, and so when you look at different things, like I like this, it's like, come on, this is San Diego. Oh, look how young the van was. It's 117,000 now. Oh, okay. But again, so there's Anderson Truck Trail, Beach Cruisering. We could keep going down through Weiner bicycle history. Oh, there's the Jamis as its current state was the last time I had it before I sold it. Okay. Building stuff, snake. There's Sketchy. This guy bought Sketchy from a parking lot. Guy. This is 100% original, except for the tires. But it was original when I bought it. Back here, this is the original bike as it was sold in 1991. Same tires and everything. Anybody want to know why it has the original tires on it? It sucked so bad to ride. The person rode it twice and threw it in their shed saying, I hate it. So I have it and I love it. It's the worst riding bicycle I've ever had in my life. 74-degree head angle, 76-degree seat angle, very short chainstay. It's almost impossible to stay on top of, especially with a stem that's shaped like a fishing pole. Okay, so anyway, but if you're a bottom-up person, you appreciate this as it is. If you're a top-down person, you say, orange bicycle. Well, it's very orange. I mean, look at it. I mean, it glows in the dark. It was that orange. I even sold it. The guy I sold it to used it USD for 2 years, and I bought it back from him for $50 less than I sold it from him because I loved it so much. Okay. Well, and this is one of the main reasons. If you look at the shirt, I'm a little fat in that picture. Anyway, I don't like that. Let's look at it. See the bike with the skis and the bike with the skis? Yeah, baby. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. What's that? Okay, it's a bike. So again, top-down people see bicycle. Yeah, so this is called a trials bike. I've showed this video a couple times before, class starting, the guys jumping up at stuff. Somebody cut down a couple trees at our park, and the logs are arranged in such a way that if you have one of these bikes, you can jump from log to log to log to log, and it's highly entertaining. They meant them for the kids to play on. They did not think about the adults with trials bikes who live in the neighborhood. Or maybe they did. Okay, but so by looking at this thing, how is it not like a regular bicycle? Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's meant for jumping around on, not for going for a bike ride. It's further back and very high. The bottom bracket is very, very high off the ground. Notice the forks are straight and the brakes are in the back. The one that I found on Craigslist, the brakes were in the front. They look the same except the brakes are in the wrong place. So I texted him, he got the forks on backwards. And he wanted like $700 for it. I told him no. Okay, this was my old one. This was the trials bike I had before I got the yellow one. The yellow one belonged to a guy named Brian Jennings who was killed in a car accident. And so his wife gave me his trials bike because he's the one I used to trials ride with. So it's got good karma. There's a pile of the bicycles. Yeah. He was awesome. It made me very sad. This is part of the Weiner bicycle family. I don't have a problem. The one in the middle is we call the Trek because it's made by Trek. It doesn't have a name because it has no soul. Anyway, moving on. So how do we decide whether something's in a concept or not? How do we break things down? Concepts are really important in forming memories. How do you decide if something's in a concept? Oh, come on. Okay, so I'll pick on volleyball. Okay, say your first name again. Hanalei. Okay. So, what does it mean to block? Yeah. So he immediately put his hands up. Okay, so why did you put your hands like this? Because that's how you block. Okay, so how do you know where to jump? No, that's not how you know where to jump. That's how you learned where to jump. But how do you know where to jump? That's how. How do you know where? So you're in the game. You're standing there. How do you know where to jump? Well, you should know your positions at this point in your career. Okay. So what position do you play? Oh, there you go. Okay. I guess because she was tall, she played middle. I'm sorry, I threw that. Okay. So I top downed you there. Okay. So if you're playing a middle, the middles on the volleyball team have the fastest reaction time of anybody. The smartest person on the volleyball team is, no offense, middle. There's two. There's the annoying little people called liberos. Liberos sacrifice themselves for the good of the cause. Liberos play in the back row. And a libero has to get on the other side of somebody's cannon and put the ball up in the air. And what they have to do, they're smart because they have to predict what's going to happen in the future. And it's really bizarre. If you watch a good libero, person in the back row, they're moving before the person hits the ball. Right? So as the person is about to crush the ball, the libero's watching the ball, watching the turn of the ball, watching the positions of the hands, and is already moving to where the ball is going to be before they even hit the ball. If anybody watches volleyball, you should watch like high-end volleyball. It's insane, especially like the guys. The fact that the liberos get the ball up and these guys are jumping this high above a net that is barely, I can touch the top of, and these guys are jumping so they're this much of their chest is over the net. And they're hitting the ball straight down, and all of a sudden there's a guy going, boink, and it puts it up. Who's the second smartest person? The setter. Because they not only have to pay attention to where the ball's coming from, but where they need to put it to. And that's why all the people have positions where they're supposed to play their positions so when the setter goes to throw the ball somewhere, I'm thinking of the Cheers show on Netflix. When they throw the little flyer and there's nobody there. Everybody watch that show? You should really watch it just for them killing all the little flyers. They just throw them up in the air and then no one's there to catch them. And what happens? One dislocated their elbow. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. But how come it's hard to explain to the class how to block? You say, well, I was taught to. Because it's not something that you consciously think of. It's something that you just do in response to stimuli coming in. It's conditioning. And that's why all the stupid drills, and being a middle is really hard. You have to make a choice very quickly as a middle. Go left, block right. And you have to decide which way the setter is going to go and where the ball is going to go immediately. And because you have to jump, and you have to jump high. There's Malia, one of the girls that plays with my daughter on the beach. She is about this tall, and she was at the beach blocking girls. The girls come up to hit, and all of a sudden this little Malia, boing! It's like one of the coaches walks by and goes, that's a little girl with a big block. How on earth can this little tiny person block this big giant person? Timing. She has hops, but timing. It's all about timing. If you're at the top of your jump while that person's hitting the ball, you will stop them. Unless the person is that girl from Cathedral who just crushed everybody's arm. You block it, just blows your arms backwards. But she's a Division I, whatever. Okay, moving on. So, the more times you have observations, the more observations you make, the better you conceptualize, the better you understand top-down. The more times you make observations, the more you conceptualize, the easier it is for you to top-down. People that pay attention very well learn very fast. People that get distracted very quickly, like that whatever that flash was, what happens to our learning? I get sidetracked very quickly. And by getting sidetracked, my ability to process and remember things gets more difficult. Okay, so I'm going to write a very important word up here for you that sneaks up on our next assessment quite a few times. I know. It's called an exemplar. All these words kind of fit the way to understand this. Is that an exemplar is the most or the best fit thing for your category. The thing that represents your category the best. It's called an exemplar. The reason why every class from the beginning of this unit till now, I always start with that stupid behavior formula. The behavior formula is the way to understand this. That is the exemplar for this whole unit. If you can understand that example, everything in this unit makes sense. I'm going to send home a video for you to watch about reality. It's very strange. And the guy is a slow talker. Sorry. Can you please speed up? He doesn't quite be the sloth at the DMV, but he's pretty damn close. Okay, so why is that sloth at the DMV funny? Because it's so the way you do it to make it funny is you count to 3 after you say something and then count to 3 again. It's because the 1, 2, 3, 4. No, because you have to count to 3, because that's when you're anticipating. I can't count to 6. Are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that fuzz in the light. Do you think that's... Oh, crap. I do so many extra reps at the gym because of my lack of attention. Well, one of the things we do is it's a 25 swings, 35 swings, and then 50 swings in a row. And when we're doing 50 swings in a row, if I pay attention to anything else... Damn it! I'm at like 40. How many am I at? I don't know. So I start again. That's something, if you lose count, you start again. So you really be careful to count. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So, not this morning. This morning was just painful. Jumping rope took forever. Okay. So, I want to I'll put a bike up here for you, which is my exemplar bicycle. Oh, there she is! This is Rusty. Rusty is named Rusty because Rusty lived most of her life leaning against the side of a house in PB. The gentleman who I bought it from was 60 plus years old, and when he was in college, he rode it back and forth to Mesa. It still had the original tires on when I bought it. The rear tube in there is still the original rear tube that came with the bicycle. They made crap good in 1950-something. Okay, it's a 1950-something bike. The cable broke for the shifter, so I shifted it down here. That's where you shift the gears with. My friends always tease me, what are you, scratching your nuts? I'm like, no, I'm shifting gears. Okay, so Rusty is really cool because Rusty is, quote, bicycle, unquote. It would have been better if I fixed the pedals, somebody said last class. I should have rotated the cranks just a little bit more. So the next time I steal a sign, I will make sure I rotate the cranks. But why is Rusty the, quote, bicycle, unquote? It's the exemplar of a bicycle. This particular bike, it's a Raleigh Tourist. This thing was made, no, this is not the Tourist, this is the Sport. The Tourist has slightly different brakes. This bike has been made more times than any other human transportation device in history. Still, they produce things, they're called the Flying Pigeon in Japan and China. And they're also called Eastman, makes a version of this. Basically, they took a bike, remade the parts, and then started stamping them out in India and in China. And pretty much up until China's major industrial revolution, every family had at least one of these. And there's a lot of crap ton of people in China. Okay? And so everybody had one. Why is that the exemplar?
Because like you know about it.
It is the thing that defines what a bicycle is. It's got pedals, it's got wheels, it's got a seat, it's got a handlebar. You pedal it, you go forward, you put on the brakes, you stop. And some of the other stuff, the other crap that I have is similar. Oh, here's the beginning of the Great Pumpkin. Okay. But does this fit the exemplar? Well, this is actually one of my favorite activities. And if I were to like live the rest of my life happiness, I'd be riding my mountain bike with my fly rod. That is like the best for me ever. That's what I'm going to do for my 50th birthday. We're going to go on about a 50-mile mountain bike ride along a river and stop and fish all day. Doesn't get any better than that. Why does this bike have ridiculously big tires? Because of the rocks and the terrain. Most of the terrain that we ride on looks like this. Okay?
What happens if you do like really thin tires?
Well, that's sketchy being sketchy. The rear tire literally blew off the rim. Like the sidewall just fell off the tire. Just, I had to walk. Stupid sketchy. But how come I have this $2,000 Trek mountain bike and I'm riding stupid sketchy, the worst riding bicycle in history? No, that thing is meant to jump, but my wife likes riding it. And my son likes riding it. He's big enough to ride it now, so he rides it. Because it has no soul. Moving on. Okay, so now, you have to understand soul in bicycles. Then you understand the concept is what's more important than the actual details. If I'm actually going on a serious bike ride, I will ride the Trek because it rips. It's a phenomenal bicycle. But if I'm just going for a normal ride, I'll ride something I have to suffer on. Like my road rides, I have a nice road bike, but what do I ride? Rusty, you've never pissed off a bunch of road bike people than showing up on a road ride with an old Raleigh 3-speed. Because it makes more noise than you can possibly imagine a single piece of machinery making. You hit a bump and it goes and then the pedal goes zing every time you pedal around. Zing, 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 zing. And the brakes, when you put them on, just go. And so my friend's got like a $13,000 Pinarello Prince carbon road bike, and he can't drop me because I'm pretty strong. So I'm riding on. I need a bell for it because then I really piss him off. He's like hammering, and I'm like... One of the cranks is loose right now, so if you go over a jump, and then you pedal, it goes clunk. Don't jump the Raleigh 3-speed is the moral of the story. Okay, I wrote it yesterday, so I'm feeling lots of love for it. Okay, so the question comes down to, what the hell's your memory then? Is she really remembering things in the future? What is memory? It's resonance. Repeated stimulus produces resonance. Or, boo, creepy foot doctor, something that produces an emotion. Well, something that produces emotion produces resonance significantly faster. You remember that. What's the name of the beer? And you remember it because if you resonate strong enough, it forms a lasting memory. Okay, so I'm going to kind of draw how this works. And it's really simple. This is a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Okay? Or the hippobanana. Okay, hippocampus. So for me to try to remember your names again, I had it okay at the beginning of the year, but now they're all faded out because I have not practiced and I'm feeling kind of lame. I'm going to zoom in to this area of your hippocampus. If anybody asks you, it's area C4 of the hippocampus, just in case somebody really wants you to know, but I'm going to zoom way in here. What do you see when I start zooming way in? A grid line. So I'm going to start drawing these little grid lines. I'm going to make some actually finer grid lines coming down this way. I know I'm not following the lines, but I don't have enough patience. Okay. So now, so what we have in our hippocampus, you have layers of cells. So picture this as one layer of cells. Sitting on top of it is another layer of cells with another grid, with another layer of cells with another grid. Okay, and so if a stimulation comes through here, like I will take whichever one comes up first. Let's see. Oh, we'll put coelacanthus up here. How about that? Okay. So, oh, that's not what I want. That's actually, we did ocular tracking in my other class. So we used, that's still not going to work. Oh well. They use ocular tracking technology to make plastic surgery work better. Anyway, so I will draw a flower here instead. Okay, so what did I call this flower? Coelacanthus. It's actually a mountain lilac. The western mountain lilac. This is a combination of Coelacanthus, can't remember, and Coelacanthus lakeside. The purple ones are the lakeside ones. The darker the purple ones are these really dark purple ones, and that did you see on the sides there? That's actually a different species of Coelacanthus, which is very beautiful and extremely aromatic. Stinky. Smells super good. Please do not pick these and bring them home. They're an endangered species. This is what caused a lot of the mountain bike trails and mission trails to get closed down because people were hacking their way through these to make mountain bike trails, which I've ridden on a lot until I realized they were hacking through Coelacanthus. And then I rode through them going, because it smells delightful. Apologize for riding through Coelacanthus fields. But now, so at the same time as Coelacanthus, as you are seeing the flower, what color are they? Okay, so I'm going to write the word purple in yellow because that makes a lot of sense. I could probably change that to purple. Yes, I can. And then I'll write purple in white. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Lakers. Okay. So if I think of this flower, if I think of a flower that's purple and white, those two nodes light up. What else do I need to add to that? What else describes the Coelacanthus? Okay, so the shape, the smell. So all of those things line up together. And if the certain shape of a certain smell and a certain color activates, my brain follows this, oh, that is Coelacanthus. What if it smells sweet, but I don't see anything else? You must be allergic to Coelacanthus. You can do that, by the way. No, you can have allergic response. Yes, you can develop allergies, but you can have an allergic response by looking at a photograph. Because if I show you lots of pictures of cats and you're allergic to cats, guess what your body will start to do? Itch. And the reason is because your hippocampus is paying attention to stimuli coming in. If stimuli is coming in with one direction, at the same time as stimuli is coming in another direction, these little things are called nodes. And it's not as simple as one simple little grid like this. Picture 1,000 grids stacked on top of each other. So the Coelacanthus has a really nice shape to it. If I zoomed in here, one of these, yeah. So it's got this really cool little flower attachment to it. This is one of the reasons I really like my Google phone. It's a really good camera. And so it's not really, I just took a bunch of pictures and found one that was good. So it's not like I'm a good photographer. My neighbor Pete is like an awesome photographer. And crazy, amazing photographs with his iPhone. Anyway. But, so is this bottom up or top down right here? Bottom up. By analyzing the tiny little details of the flower, of the leaf, of the pattern, then you can really see the specifics of what this is. Versus, come on, stop it. Stop it. Versus seeing the whole field. Let me pull it. So if you look carefully in this one, what do you see on the whole side of the hill? Yeah, that's all the coelacanthus. You can see that it's at the bottom, it's the heaviest, and it gets lighter as it goes to the top. As the year goes on a little bit, it slowly moves its way up the ridges, and after about 2 weeks, they're all gone. They only flower for about 2 weeks out of the year. If anybody drives up the 94, they're all along the sides of the hills in the 94 and the north face as well. And if you stop and try not to get murdered to death on the 94, because if you ever stop there, cars don't care and they just keep going. Yeah, it's a little dangerous. Okay. But again, if you didn't notice these little purple flowers on the side of the hill, would you even pay attention? It's kind of subtle. Okay? Do you see any in this picture? This is the San Diego River. It's about half a mile from where we took the pictures before. I don't see any coelacanthus. That is not purple. That's just dead stuff. Probably poison oak that we're standing in. Oh, look, there's a fishing weight. I didn't notice that. Somebody's fishing bobber. It's orange. You know, I could do that. Oh, okay, sorry. So now, shiny object, distracted, I'm back. Okay, so now, your memory is literally just a series of nodes. Okay, so how do I remember what a coelacanthus looks like? How to remember what a coelacanthus looks like? No, your brain doesn't use neurons. You use your neurons. If you want to think of a coelacanthus, what's the first way to remember what they look like? Color. Sorry, is blue a color? I'm writing the color that I'm writing in, which is irritating. Let me change it to purple so it really resonates well. Why would I write the color purple there? That's the color of what kind of coelacanthus? Coelacanthus lakeside. I have a list of all the different types of coelacanthus in my phone. There's a really cool app called iNaturalist. And have you used it?
Yeah.
It's really neat. I found a really cool picture of a bug. And I'm like, what the hell is this bug? And I posted it on iNaturalist. Hold on, I got my critter album. Critters. That's my mom's cat. That's Stripes. Look at it. Isn't it cute? That's a salamander. You don't find many salamanders in San Diego. This guy was on my office. Big ass stick bug. I'm a stick. You can't see me. Okay. King snake. There's Stripes. Ugly ass duck thing. It's got a cool paint fade though on it, doesn't it? Yeah, people love those on their cars. Okay, there's some fish, there's some spiders. There's a fluffy dog's butt. That's my arm. We're trying to find out what this is. It's too small for old people's eyes. It's a gnat. I was hoping it wasn't a termite. My daughter walks out in the backyard. Wow, look at that chicken. Top down or bottom up? Top down, yeah. It's my kid. Grass spider. Lots of flowers, mission trails, alligator lizards. These guys are cool. Yeah, that's how they get around. Like this guy. That's a tick. Well, because I pulled it off my ear. I figured I'd take a picture of it.
Aren't you supposed to move a certain way so their heads don't go off in your mind?
Well, yeah, well, you don't. He hadn't dug in yet. He was just chilling. Yeah, so it's really important that you do a tick check whenever you go out in the weeds. And the reason is that there's some weird crunchy music song like "I want to go check you for ticks." I'm not making that up. I don't know if anybody knows the name of the song. Somebody can Google. Anyway, but they'll walk around for a while and they find a nice warm, damp space that they like to embed. So like around your waistband. So in order to check for ticks, you got to get nakedish. So, but every time we go mountain biking, we always wear tights. That's why I want to check you for ticks. Anyway, so but whenever you go mountain biking, you tuck your usually wear stretchy pants. You tuck them into your socks. Why wear stretchy pants? Just, I know the way they look nice, but can the ticks get up under them? No. And if they do try to get under them, you can feel them trying to get under them. So keeps them out of spaces that you don't want them in. Anyway, but when you start looking for critters, how do you know what it is? What do you have to activate? The nodes. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, you have to activate these nodes. And by activating a node, you rebuild the memory. So when you use the word resonate, what you're actually doing is sending in sensory information, trying to find the node which lights up the right path. You're trying to find a node that lights up the right path. Which gets really complicated because how many different nodes are there? I would say there's almost an infinite number of possible nodes that would resonate a particular memory. When I say regurgitate, what I mean is bring back. Yeah, that's what I did in the first day of class. Okay, so is it Caden? Yes, okay. Because there's Caden and there's another student that sits up there with a similar name, but I remembered Caden's because it was a kid on my son's basketball team. Right? And so how come I can remember some pretty quickly but others more difficultly? It's the strength of the node. If a node becomes strong, okay, if a node becomes very activated, that means that the memory is easier to find. If a node is not well stored, or if it's not, now here's the key. We have sensation. Okay? Sensation is coming in this pipe. Right? And then we also have encoding. Encoding is the information coming down this pipe. So what's storage then? Storage is the nodes. It says nodes. I like the little snap to space, but it's kind of irritating. So in order for you to store memory properly, what do you have to make sure you do? Strengthen the nodes. It's the sensations are the sensations. You really can't change the sensations that you have. Unless, what if you read the book more often? What happens? You remember the sensations differently when I talk about stuff in class. Like when we talk about memory, they talk about storage, encoding, and retrieval. And so, but the idea about storage or encoding, storage, and retrieval, now you have a picture of what it looks like-ish. And I'll send you a video to watch on, oh, thank you very much. I will send you a video to watch. I totally forgot. I would have got the stats and been going.
Yeah, I got frustrated, so I'm just going to do
How many are left? She's trying to get the electrodes to fit back in the cap.
Not easy.
No, it's not. That's why I'm having her do it. Because it's frustrating as heck to me. So she's fine. Okay. Sorry. $12 an hour. Okay. TA funds. I don't have to bear. College it. Okay. But she's frustrated. I'm not. She works. So now. So the sensation comes in the pipes. Encoding is where the data comes in. So the sensation for me is looking at y'all's faces. Okay, so what's the encoding then? I have to encode the name. How can I remember Leslie's name? She just walked in, but still. She was my stats course. And so far, everybody named Leslie I remember very well because I have a crazy Aunt Leslie. And it's easy to attach Crazy Aunt Leslie to lots of students. Yeah.
Is it encoding only
No, so encoding is a couple different things. Okay? For me, for the example that I was using, it's your name. But, oh, wow, there's area C4. That's pretty huge. Okay. Okay, so you can... That was cool. Okay. That's really small. Okay. I'm just going to write it bigger down here. So the things that you encode are episodic. It's getting weird. Must need to update. What would episodic be? One of the things that you encode is you automatically generally encode time. That's a very wishy-washy statement, but when you encode time, you automatically put things into episodes. Think about when you're trying to think of a TV show. That's what I got distracted by her flashcards. Think about how you try to think of a TV show. How do you remember a TV show? It's a series of events. How do you memorize dreams? That's what I was trying to say when I got distracted by your flashcards. The dream has a story. The dream becomes an episode. I had a great dream that a bunch of people were being dropped out of the back of airplanes, and as opposed to having parachutes, they had these plastic things on their feet and surfed down, and they were all wearing masks, and it was they were torturing people and stuff. It was awesome. End of the world kind of stuff. I love those dreams. It usually means I'm stressed about something. Okay? And so, but it was they're using saw and okay. But how can I remember the sequence? How do we remember the world? Sequence. What'd you do yesterday at noon? How do you know what you did yesterday at noon? Wait, was it noon or was it 11? You immediately can. I know because I know we went fishing at Santee Lakes yesterday. Okay, and so I know that we left the house right at noon because I was trying to figure out if we should get food or not before or after we go. So I just gave the kids money and they went to the snack bar and bought Cheetos. Ugh. Okay. But when you think about it, is you think about time is automatically encoded. Automatically encoded. Does anybody ever have one of those if you're reading a book, you lose time? But you don't lose time in the story that you're reading. You know where you are in the story as far as the time of the sequence of the story that you're reading, but you lose sense of the time around you. It's kind of cool. Okay, the other ones that you automatically encode. Almost there. So now we're getting back to your déjà vu again. Most of your déjà vu is either episodic or place things. You feel like this has happened before. Or you feel like I've been here before. Because those things are automatically encoded. Why do you think people get lost in the forest? It all looks the same. There's no cues. There's no nodes. And especially the thicker the forest, the harder it is to find your way through. If I ask you to walk straight through a really dark room, most people do this. Why do you drift one way or the other if I'm asking you to walk straight through a dark room? Without any node or any space around you, people tend to drift one way or the other, depending on, I don't know what factors. That'd be a fun experiment. We'd probably hurt a few people, but it'd still be cool. Give me an excuse to buy night vision goggles. Moving on. So if I take the picture from here, let's see if I get a picture of a forest up here. Oh, there's some of that. There's some mountains. There we go. My wife got lost on this trail. Why would you get lost on this trail? All the trees look the same. We call them birch trees back east. They're called aspens out here. But there's a white tree and there's a pine tree. There's a dead tree. There's a live tree. It all looks the same. Ooh, there's a creek. Ooh. That was fun. Okay. What you can't see is in the creek. There's a big ass brown trout. You can see it right here. And me standing for like 25 minutes casting at it and it ignoring me. Okay, sorry. So, but when you go and look at places that how come I know where this is? Have I been there before? I took the picture. And as a result, because I have a very good way, I encode places very quickly, I don't get lost very often. Does anybody lose their car in here very quickly? Okay, so when you lose your car, that's why the little... Hey Google, where did I park my car?
Here's an answer from Google.
So I can remember where, I can tell it to remember where I parked. If I tell it to remember where I parked, it'll tell me. Anybody has Siri in here? Can you ask it where you parked? Just ask it. See if how well it does. Sorry, your mouth's full now. It'll show you a map to your parked car. And so, Waynesboro. Because a lot of people, especially like if you go to the beach and you park in a completely random spot every time, when you go to leave the beach and you're not thinking about where you parked, you're like, crap. Because the consequences are walking 5 miles to where you thought you parked to realize you didn't park there. And then half the time your car's stolen, so, okay, never mind. So, okay, when we come back next class, I want to take apart how to encode information. I'm going to see if I can remember everybody's names better again.